Whenever it feels like the devil is attacking, when he's testing you, it's important to remember that sometimes God's preparation comes packaged as pain. Sometimes God's preparation, it comes packaged as pain. In other words, there is a purpose in your pain. God might be using the pain that we're enduring to do something in us before he does something through us. The pain that we're experiencing may be preparation for the purpose that God has prepared for us.
What happens to us is, as we journey along the way, we lose a lot of things. And the temptation is for us to identify with what we lost. And then we start labeling our lives according to those losses. Well, that limits us to what we can receive.
The fastest growth periods are often the most miserable. If you want progress, get used to pain. The worst thing that's ever happened to you is the worst thing that's ever happened to you.
This will be the story that I will one day tell. And that means the harder it is, the bigger the dragon, the more epic the story, and by consequence, the more epic the hero. And if you think about the difference between winners and losers, winners define themselves by what they made happen, and losers define themselves by what happened to them.
Because at some point, the sorrow or even the regrets, they have been so painful in a way that I was left only with like two choices. Number one, you learn from what went wrong. And number two, and this is I do think is a very hard part, it's the part of learning to let go by forgiving. Forgiving two areas. In case somebody is involved, you forgive the one that is involved, but foremost, you forgive this one.
If you are like an artist or creative, and you feel frustrated and you feel blocked, that's a good thing, right? That little bit of pain, that little bit of frustration, is often a signal that you're actually on the verge of turning into the right direction. You know, this is a signal that things aren't quite working out and you're listening to it.
But when you enjoy your own pain, whenever I have these prolonged moments of suffering that kind of break past what I would consider the normal variance of life, right? It's like, no, this broke through the barrier of shitty. I do have this history of having significantly larger improvements that happen post dip, right? So it's like we kind of get the opportunity to buy the dip for our own negative consequences. And I've bought the dip at almost every time, and it's rewarded me disproportionately.
And since then, for the past 33 years, I've looked in the mirror every morning and asked myself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today? And whenever the answer has been no for too many days in a row, I know I need to change something.
And I just said, just shut up and let me enjoy this pain. I don't want anything to numb it. I don't want anything right now. Because what I had done was I just, in my mind, and people will take this wrong and take it as wrong as you want to, I don't really care. I had just climbed a mental wall that was amazing. And I didn't want anybody to take that pain away from me at that point, because that was all confirmation.
You have to let yourself flourish. Let yourself develop. You know, I'm not saying cut everybody off and start a whole new life. I'm saying, you know, cut your old version of yourself off to the point where there's new life inside of you.
And just the hard part was just becoming part of society again. It's like they didn't want me. They didn't want me to be part of their society anymore. So I just decided, fuck it. I'm gonna sleep in a tent. I'm gonna do what I love for a living, which is playing music. And if I just make a little bit of money, I'd rather do what I love with a passion and make a little money than go back to contracting and try to make a lot of money and be part of a society that doesn't even want me anymore. Fuck them, you know? Fuck society. That's the way I feel.
You'd have to change your personality, which means you'd have to start thinking about what you've been thinking about and change it. You'd have to become aware of your unconscious habits and behaviors and even what you say and modify them. And then you'd have to look at those emotions that keep you anchored to the past and decide if those emotions belong in your future. So most people try to create a new personal reality as the same personality, and it doesn't work. We literally have to become someone else.
You have to take great pleasure in the fact that no one wants to be where the you're at right now. Great pleasure in that. Almost makes, it has to bring a passion out of you. It has to bring something very, very weird out of you, man. Like, people don't really understand what that is. When you're in the worst environment possible, the worst situation possible, and everybody's looking like, God, man, I hope this ends. And you see that. Time slows down and you see that. You're feeling that. Everybody has that look on their face like, God, it's gotta go. Yeah, I don't wanna be here anymore.
You can't create a new personal reality as the same personality. You gotta become someone else. That means you gotta give up some aspect of those unconscious thoughts, behaviors, and emotions that are programmed because we do them so much and think that way.
I like to be in a difficult environment. I don't know why.
Well, because pressure on the system is generally a good thing.
I've just felt instinctively, I'm gonna do better under pressure.
But the problem is that you have to face what you don't want to face in order to fix it.
Yeah.
And so you look at all the things about yourself that need to be burned off, that need to be dispensed with. And that, man, especially at the beginning, especially if you're screwed up, that may be like 95% of you just has to go up in flames. And it's painful. Even some of that stuff that you have to burn off doesn't want to die. And it'll scream in agony while you're burning it off. It's not pleasant.
I wanted to hit obstacles that most people up, including myself, but I didn't waver. I didn't fear. I didn't run away. I just stayed and marinated in the fear, in the suffering. And through that, building Goggins, I will become Goggins when necessary.
Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. You are already naked. There is no reason not to follow your heart.
I thought to myself, if I can be at the lowest part in the world, in the sewer, and be able to overcome all this shit, I started using that as power. And I slowly started passing the guys from Harvard, the guys from MIT, the guys who were from great families and shit. I'm like, oh my God, I'm catching up. I had nothing. So I started flipping it and using it as power.
I think a lot of times we run from our problems without realizing that we're running from ourselves. We're running from the parts of ourselves that need to heal from certain things. Like I myself, I don't want to get into much detail. I feel like I'm already pretty vulnerable, but there's things in my life that I think I have yet to overcome that I still need to. And I'm not really ashamed of it. I'm still working towards it and I'm finding new ways to work towards it. It's about confronting your problems in a way that makes you feel comfortable.
And it wasn't, the hard part wasn't going to prison, it was getting out and trying to be part of society again. Because at one time I was a contractor. I had 4 employees, 3-bedroom house, blah, 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 blah. And I had to lose it all to realize it was just stuff, but still.
So the process of change in the meditative model requires unlearning and relearning. It requires breaking the habit of the old self and reinventing a new self. What we say in neuroscience, pruning synaptic connections and sprouting new connections, unfiring and unwiring and refiring and rewiring. Unmemorizing emotions that are stored in the body and then reconditioning the body to a new mind and to a new emotion. No longer signaling the same genes in the same way, but signaling new genes in new ways. Beginning to pull your energy out of the past and beginning to invest your energy into the future.
In fact, the stronger the pain might be an indication of the bigger the purpose that God has on the other side.
You had to make different choices, and the hardest part about change is not making the same choices the day before, and that means you're going to get uncomfortable. You stop doing the same things, the same habits, sitting on the couch, whatever it was. You didn't have time to complain, that stuff.
Nothing is permanent. Nothing is permanent. And a lot of times you have to learn to perform without motivation. You have to learn to perform without purpose. You have to learn to perform a lot of different things. And that's what people think. They think I need to have this motivation. If you have motivation, that's great. That's some kindling to the fire. All it takes is a little bit of spark, you can burn the whole forest up. But motivation, you have to learn to exist without it. You have to learn to be, you have to be your best self when you're least motivated. And that's the tricky part about all that shit. Motivation is just a word.
So if you're not prepared for it, if you don't have any type of heart, you won't last. From where I grew up, heart was everything. And heart was sometimes saying, I don't care if I get my ass whooped. I'm not gonna be a bitch.
At the worst possible moment, he will give you the greatest possible opportunity. And it's almost like this year we're being presented as a question. Are we going to label this year by what we buried or by what was born?
The fastest growth periods are often the most miserable. If you want progress, get used to pain. The worst thing that's ever happened to you is the worst thing that's ever happened to you. The hardest you've ever worked is the hardest you've ever worked. Every new challenge shows you a new territory you were scared of but survived. Every time you break a new limit, you now know you have the capacity to handle more than you ever did before.
Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice.
Victims see their past as their fate. Champions see their past as their origin story. And so a lot of people are living through their origin story right now, or they're living through the very reason that they'll never be successful, but it could be the exact same situation. And the only difference between either character is the actions they choose to take.
You know, regardless of my anxiety and how I feel about the situation, I can still move forward. It's not about how you feel, it's about how you react to your feelings. How you react to the parts of yourself that are kind of scared of the situation. And I say all this in moderation. You know, I'm not saying go into some super scary situation and just be a real tough guy. Like, oh my God, you can do anything. Of course, be mindful, be smart, but also be courageous. You know what serves you and know what doesn't, but also know what has potential to serve you.
I came in this world by myself, and when I die, I'm gonna be the only one in that coffin. And so really all I guess that matters is me, I guess. I don't know. I think people matter, but the more I'm starting to see, less and less.
So most people have experiences in their life that brand them emotionally. They feel fear, they feel anger, they feel bitterness, they feel frustration, they feel insecurity. And those emotions then become part of their identity. So once they think certain thoughts that turn on certain circuits in their brain that are equal to their insecurity, and then they feel insecure. The moment they feel insecure, they think more insecure thoughts, which makes more chemicals for them to feel insecure. And the repetition of that cycle over time conditions the body to subconsciously become the mind of insecurity. So then the person says, I am insecure. And whenever you say, I am anything, you're commanding your mind and body towards a destiny.
I knew I wanted to live a difficult life. I craved a difficult circumstance.
What?
I don't know. But I think you just know it sometimes when you're a kid. I don't want to do anything easy. And that's why when I found stand-up and I became that thing, I was so gratified and comfortable. You know how much difficulty is the right amount for you. Too much is not good. Not enough is not good. There's a range that we all seek as humans.
But you'll push it.
I'll
pretty
push
hard,
it.
yeah.
And you should be facing adversity.
You should be.
You should be facing adversity in the midst of change.
It shouldn't be easy.
It should be earned. It should be earned. It should be earned. Because that means you put your time in. And that means that this is how greatness is created, when you show up to create when you don't feel like it. When you sit with yourself and not allow your mind to go to the past and all the problems and all the things and instruct your mind to go to that vision of the future, that's a victory.
everything involves a degree of pain, a degree of practice, a degree of drudgery.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's going to come easy in life. So skill that you're going to learn is going to involve that. And if you're not connected to it in a deep way like you weren't with music, you're never going to learn fast enough, and you're just going to you're going to burn out too early.
I just know every time I suffered in the training, afterwards, something really good came out of it. Yeah. Same as like every time you face a challenge that was really, really difficult for you, but you still pushed it through somehow. You still were patient and persevered and were consistent and still tried. And this type of challenge for me was a way bigger victory than anything that was easily attained.
The hunger of not being one of those people that's left behind is what makes you successful in the first place.
What had been the focus of my entire adult life was gone, and it was devastating. I really didn't know what to do for a few months. I felt that I had let the previous generation of entrepreneurs down, that I had dropped the baton as it was being passed to me. I met with David Packard and Bob Noyce and tried to apologize for screwing up so badly. I was a very public failure, and I even thought about running away from the valley. But something slowly began to dawn on me. I still loved what I did. The turn of events at Apple had not changed that one bit. I'd been rejected, but I was still in love. And so I decided to start over.
Every day when you get out of bed, life's standing right there to kick you in the face, man. Could be anything. Could be you get up and you walk downstairs, you got a fucking flat tire and you're late for work and you got this and that. Life is going to throw all kinds of crazy shit at you, right? And you have to be ready for it, and you got to fucking deal with it. You can't curl up into a ball. You can't run away from it. You can't hide. You have to take all this shit head on. You have to get up every day. When I get up out of bed, I strap up and I'm getting ready for fucking war.
Tell yourself the truth. If someone calls you fucking fat, they may be bullying you, but you might be fucking fat. Someone calls you dumb, it's mean, but you might be fucking dumb. It's life, man. Take it for what it's worth and change it.
And that terrible feeling when someone does tell you that you're fat, you can use that as fuel.
As fuel, period.
We discovered that when you're sitting with yourself and you go past the point where you would normally stop because of your disbelief, you go past that point, that's when the brain changes the most. That's when you're stepping into the unknown.
What does that moment look like for people? Like, what is
that? That moment looks like I want to quit. That moment looks like I want to give up. That's the end of their emotional belief. But if you show up to be a creator in spite of those voices, in spite of the mismanagement of your attention and energy and not having enough time, or feeling, something happened in your day and it caused you to not want to create, the days that you show up anyway, and you remember that's the belief in your future.
Don't just look at life from a perspective of pain, but see your pain through a perspective of purpose.
And I'm gonna change the name of this thing that was born in pain, but it was born on purpose.
It's about gaining control of your mind, putting things back in the proper perspective, and then saying, I really do want to be here, and I'm going to have a bunch of these 1 seconds through this 130-hour journey. And I have to learn to control these, because if I fail one of these 1 seconds, I will not be a SEAL. I will not be a doctor. I will not be a lawyer. I will not be whatever the fuck it is. So that's how important that 1 second decision is. It's all about your mind takes control of you. You have to say, fuck you, I run this motherfucker.
The bigger the monster, the more epic the hero.
Yes.
But when you get into those later rounds and fatigue sets in, and then fatigue makes you start to fucking doubt yourself, and then you start to wonder, can I even make it through the rest of this round? And then you start to think, am I gonna fucking die right now? And these kids dig fucking deep, and they just, like you said, all the other shit flies out the window, and now they're just on fucking autopilot to fight and win.
Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life. Because almost everything all external expectations, all pride, all fear of embarrassment or failure, these things just fall away in the face of death, leaving only what is truly important. Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. You are already naked. There is no reason not to follow your heart.
The only thing that changed was how I approached the situation. I no longer wanted to be a victim of that race, a victim in my mind. I wanted to dominate.
I haven't even begun to crack what the mind is capable of. And when I start realizing is on the other end of suffering, that's the real growth of life, because you realize how the mind processes shit.
That is the becoming process, and that's how you arrive at that vision. And this energy is the energy that takes you there. And you got to be able to bring that up on your own. That means you got to come out of your resting state. And that when coming out of your resting state and not allowing or waiting for someone or something to do it for you, but doing it on your own, wow, there's sovereignty and there's empowerment in that. That's how any person arrives at their dream. They just don't let their energy drop. And if they do, they get back into that state again. And they earn the belief in themselves.
It's all about your perspective. It'd be a palace or a prison, however you want to see it right now. That, they're still doing it. That kid, time of their life, and we're in the exact same water. Just change your mindset. This is all part of the process. And if you want to wear that shiny gold thing on your chest, you must do this. Just do it.
Taking full accountability for your life with all of the deficiencies that you have may be the most painful thing that you do when you look at yourself in the mirror and say, this is my fault. But in saying, this is my fault, those are also the first two steps of progress, because it's my fault, not anyone else's, which means it's my responsibility and my action that can change that. And I think that marrying short-term pain with long-term progress is one of the first connections that most people who are on that path have to make.
Sun don't stop for nobody, man. Sun don't fucking stop. Sun gonna be up in the morning regardless. That sun is gonna be up in the morning regardless of how I fucking feel and how depressed I am. The sun is gonna fucking shine in the morning, and at nighttime the moon gonna be there, and you gonna look up. These days gonna keep going by. So do you let the days go by and look up and you done wasted a year doing what?
But it drives you. It makes you do things. It's got a positive element. It gives you ambition. It makes you go out and do things. I don't want to stay in adolescence. I don't want to stay in this little cocoon with my mommy and my daddy in my home playing games. I want to go out in the world. I want to conquer. I want to have ambition.
Stand up. Dig in. Line up those problems and confront them. Face them. Fight them. Do not let them bring you down. In fact, let those challenges raise you up. Let them elevate you. Let their demands and their trials make you stronger.
Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking and don't settle.
Tools, your life was basically the perfect grounds for training for where you need to go in your life. All the beatings, all the bullying, all the, you going through learning disabilities, all the struggles. It was the absolute perfect training ground for you to go to where you need to go. And that's how I started looking at my life versus woe is me, poopy pants, kick a rock down the street mentality. It was, God just hooked you right the up. He hooked you right up, man, with the perfect place. You were training for the first 18, 19, 20, you were training for this stuff, man. You have the advantage of everybody else versus, my God, they're so above me. They came from a great family. Mom and dad love them. They didn't have to learn, they didn't stutter, they didn't struggle. No, man, your struggle is what made you who you are now.
What I want to do is change the perspective of which I look at life and see God's hand of purpose even working in the middle of my pain. And I know, I can only imagine what some of you are thinking right now because I feel for you. You're thinking, but you don't know how much I'm hurting. And you don't know how desperate I feel. Maybe the very thing that you dreaded the most is what God might use to develop you in a way that he can only use that. In fact, the stronger the pain, might be an indication of the purpose that God has on the other side.
So if you wanted to create a new personal reality, a new life, you would have to change your personality. And the first step in that is becoming conscious of your unconscious thoughts, those thoughts that say, I can't, it's too hard, I'll never change, it's my ex's fault, it's a, whatever,
It's all the ex.
Or if you really truly wanted to be a happy person, you would have to stop complaining. You would have to stop blaming, you'd have to stop allowing your environment to control how you're feeling and thinking. And if you truly wanted to become a new personality, you would have to decide that the emotion of lack cannot belong in an abundant person. Oh, this is where the rubber hits the road now.
I had to invent a guy that can take any pain, any suffering, any kind of judgment, be called nigger, be called whatever the fuck in the world, and be able to stand in the room and say, go fuck yourself. I had to build this callous mind, and I built it through suffering. I built it through downright fucking just crushing myself. All that pain, it was confirmation. It was confirmation that I had gone through a crucible, and I had figured out another level of David Goggins, a level that I thought was humanly impossible for anybody to do. When I was at mile 70 and shit and all over myself, and I had 30 more miles to go, and I was damn near dead, and I was able to go 31 more miles. A lot of people, man, how do you do what you do? At the end of the day, I asked myself one question: can I take one more step? And usually the answer is yes. So if you can answer that question and not take another step, that is real failure. That is real quitting.
One of the strongest reframes for suffering is that it gives you the opportunity to create evidence of the person who you want to be. And so it's like, I cannot say that I'm the type of man who can withstand hard things without having gone through hard things.
That the difficult thing that you're going through right now, it's not without purpose. God may have allowed it to strengthen you in a way that only this pain could strengthen you. God works in all things, everything, whatever you're going through right now. This season, God works in all things for the good, according to God's purpose, not according to your pain.
Let the adversity you face today turn you into a better person tomorrow. So in the future, you look back at these struggles and you say to them, thank you. You made me better.
I got something to tell you. You can compete with the top minds in the world if you're willing to armor and callous your fucking mind and outwork them fuckers and dig deep. When most people see four walls, I see a massive empty space.
I think every time there's a birthing, there's also a breaking.
It has to be worth it, right? I have to make this worth it, right? Because this sucks. So what can I learn from this? What can I be better from this as a result? And so obviously there's things that I've been working on in order.
This is all part of being a fucking leader. Being a leader fucking sucks. You do everything in life that you do not want to do. You are unhappy 90% of your life. But that means that other people are eating because of you. They're living because of you. They're achieving because of you. So are you really in that bad a shape?
When you're growing in a business, it's very painful. When you're stagnating in a business and you're plateaued and you don't know what to do, it's very painful. When you're declining and you also don't know what to do, it's very painful. And so that means that all conditions of reality are painful. And so if pain is a prerequisite for reality, then it means it's just a signal that we are alive. And so in thinking about that, rather than pain as a problem, it is a signal that I'm breathing.
You're gonna do things, you're gonna make mistakes, you're gonna fuck up. You're supposed to learn and then move forward with the understanding of what not to do. And when you move forward, life may get better, it may not, but somewhere along the lines it's gonna click. And everything that I went through back here was supposed to happen.
Well, if you just sit there and don't do anything, then you suffer and die. So that isn't an option. You have to move forward. You have to move forward towards valued things.
And what that is this. If you do 130 hours, every second you have to win. If you lose 1 fucking second of that 130 hours, you will not be a Navy SEAL. In life, it's the same way. If you lose 1 second, not take a break, if you make a bad decision and just hang it up in that 1 second, you will fucking regret it. You must win every second. You must be in control of your life every second of your life, or you will lose. So that's the biggest thing. Never forget your goals. Many dreams die while suffering. Don't be one of those people whose dreams die